Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Brunswick County Board of Education meeting for the month of June. Today is June 6, 2017. We're going to call the meeting to order with Ms. Benton. Ms. Rhonda Benton is going to give the invocation, and following that we'll have the presentation of colors and the pledge by the North Brunswick High School JROTC led by Cadet Captain Nicholas Bourgeois. Please stand.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day and we thank you for your blessings. Lord, we ask you to lead and guide every discussion and every decision that's made in this meeting, Lord. And we ask you just to help us to remember to always focus on making decisions that are important for our schools and for our students. And we ask you to continue to protect the 12,000 plus students that make up Brunswick County Schools. For it's in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Mark time, march. Color guard, hold. Order, colors. Left face. Carry, colors. Present, colors. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order, colors. Order, colors. Right face. Trail, colors. Red, march.
Please be seated. We have a public address tonight, and we always welcome address from our citizens. So without further ado, number one on the list, Allison Burrows. Is she here? I guess Allison isn't here tonight. Number two, Jason Disbrow, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jason Disbrow. I'm a resident of Southport here in Brunswick County. I am married. I have two children. They're in the public schools. One is a rising senior and one is a rising 8th grader. And my public address is going to be a little different tonight than I had anticipated. I want to praise the school board and Superintendent Tubb for doing the right thing by our kids here in Brunswick County. I was very concerned about a proposed change to the Math 1 being removed from the middle school here in Brunswick County. And my concern, personally, I have a child that is, as I said, a rising 8th grader, but it's more than that. It's for all of our children. At a time where we're expanding our physical facilities here in Brunswick County, when we have such tremendous support for our schools from retired folks and working folks and folks with children alike, I was somewhat shocked to hear that we were going to go backwards, for lack of a better word. I think it would absolutely be going backwards for our children to take away an opportunity of a high school class in the 8th grade. Now, I stand before you understanding that some things are out of our hands. Some things happen in Raleigh that maybe we don't like as far as laws that are passed. And I understand that the children who take Math 1 are no longer going to be permitted to take the 8th grade test. That stinks, but the children should not be used as a Band-Aid to fix that problem. It would be a temporary fix at the least, and I understand that this is just a one-year review currently, but I encourage all of our board members to look at the future. As a parent who has a child who, as of today, applied to Wake Forest University, I can tell you it's extremely competitive for these children going forward, getting into schools. We are so blessed, number one, in Brunswick County. I brag about Brunswick County all the time. I'm a product of public schools. I went to public schools my entire life. College, law school. My wife is a product, a graduate of a public school. We both went to Millbrook High School in Raleigh. It was the largest public school in North Carolina at the time we graduated. Brunswick County has awesome public schools. We've been very pleased with the education our children get that they've received at Southport Elementary, that they have received at South Brunswick Middle, and that my oldest has received at South Brunswick High School. They are able to be competitive currently with children who graduate from Wake County Public Schools, Mecklenburg County Public Schools, Guilford County Schools, New Hanover County Schools, and that's because we offer classes like Math 1, like Spanish, like Earth Sciences, all high school classes that are offered in the middle school. Because the reality is, in some of these larger counties, Math 1 is sometimes offered in the 7th grade, and then Math 2 is offered in the 8th grade. So in order for our children to remain competitive with all of the other students in North Carolina, because that's who they're competing with. They're not just competing with Brunswick County students, they're competing with students all over the state, all over the country. It is imperative that we not take a step backwards. So I urge you all to consistently keep Math 1, Spanish, Earth Science in the middle school. Within the last 10 years, Math 1 was offered in the 7th grade at South Brunswick Middle School. Now, I don't want to push my luck tonight and ask that be done. But the point being, we've been competitive. We need to continue to be competitive and offer our children the best opportunity to succeed in life. And keeping Math 1 is a great step. So I appreciate it again. Thank you for doing the right thing by our children. Best of luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is Hannah Greer here?
Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Greer and I am currently in the 8th grade at South Brunswick Middle School. Last night I was informed that the Board of Education has chosen to allow 8th graders to take Math 1 next year, which I find to be an excellent choice, and I thank you for making that decision. However, I would still like to speak tonight on behalf of my fellow classmates and for the students who are still in earlier grade levels that do not yet have the assurance that Math 1 will be provided to them once they reach 8th grade, that the rising 8th graders have. Ever since I was 9 years old, I have been placed in the academically and intellectually gifted AIG programs, and I speak from experience when I say that even during my AIG classes, there have been times in the past when I have either been too far ahead of the class or a little bit bored. This year, however, was completely different. I was fortunate enough to be in the Math 1 and Earth and Environmental Science classes, and I will never be able to fully express my gratitude for my placement in these classes. They have provided challenging material, and when combined with the standard 8th grade topics, have encouraged me to reach my full academic potential. My classmates all share similar pursuits and interests, so we were all motivated to succeed, even for the lessons we weren't particularly fond of. I've learned more from school this year than I ever have, and I feel like these classes have better prepared me for the workload and time management skills that I will need next year in high school. Because I had such an amazing experience with Math 1 this past year, I was completely shocked when I discovered that the Board of Education intended to take away Math 1 from all future 8th graders in Brunswick County, simply because they wanted the standard 8th grade math EOG test scores from higher scoring students. On the Brunswick County Schools website, we state that, quote, being an accredited school system is very important to all of our students. It means that our programs and services meet internationally recognized standards of excellence. It means that we are committed to being better tomorrow than we were today. How can we claim to meet educational standards across the world when we're considering the option of taking away a class that is being provided to students in neighboring counties such as Pender and New Hanover? From an educational standpoint, taking Math 1 is the only method that benefits students in high school. Instead of taking Math 1 their freshman year, students are now able to take Honors Math 2, which ultimately means they can start taking AP classes earlier in high school. Since most competitive colleges want their future students to have completed at least 4 years of high school math, taking Math 1 in middle school allows students to take full advantage of their high school years and take more classes than necessary, which vastly improves their chances of getting an academic scholarship. And finally, I would like to speak on behalf of my younger sister, Bergen, who came here with me tonight. She will be in 6th grade next year, and I hope that when she is in 8th grade, she'll receive the same educational opportunities that I have been granted. For although our county has agreed to keep Math 1 for the rising 8th graders, we have made no promises yet for the other learners that will soon become our scientists, mathematicians, and so much more. I will continue to fight for our educational rights, and though I hopefully will not feel the need to, I will be here on the same platform regardless of whether I'm a sophomore, senior, college student, or adult, defending the academic rights for Bergen and for all the students who deserve the right to further their education. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. We now have a special presentation by Ms. Winsky.
It's my privilege tonight to offer a special presentation of thanks, there we go, to the Marie Holmes Foundation, and share with you a little bit about what the foundation has done recently for West Brunswick High School. So Jimmy Fletcher, who's our athletic director at West Brunswick High School, shared this quote: "I'm so very appreciative to the Marie Holmes Foundation for their generosity to West Brunswick High School athletics program. The foundation has allowed us to refinish and refurbish our basketball courts, purchase new chairs and basketball uniforms, and upgrade our facilities' appearance. This is a great example of a former student giving back to her alma mater and helping out the youth in our community have better opportunities." Wanted to share a few of the photos with you from the renovations that have been made to West Brunswick. These athletes are sitting in new chairs, donning new uniforms. You can see a shot of the beautiful floor, which all the individuals who participate in West Brunswick athletics in the gym tell us that this is the finest gym floor of any in Eastern, and actually in the state of North Carolina. So it's actually a very beautiful floor. Here you have Lady Trojans who are in new uniforms on that beautiful new floor. Another shot of the newly renovated floor along with the mascot. Here's a picture, I believe, of what was a game at West Brunswick High School that was a reunion game. And you'll see that the coach of that team was actually Miss Marcia Hetty, and these were some of the athletes who were on Miss Hetty's team. And in conclusion, a quote from Principal Brock Aarons, who is standing underneath the sign, which is in the gym, acknowledging the Marie Holmes Foundation. "Thanks to the generosity of the Marie Holmes Foundation, West Brunswick High School students and student athletes have the opportunity to learn, play, and compete in a top-notch gymnasium. Words cannot express our sincere gratitude." So with that, if I could ask Chairman Lemon, Superintendent Tubb to come join me in the well. It's our pleasure tonight to have members of the Marie Holmes Foundation with us, Ms. Holmes, as well as her executive directors, Ms. and Ms. Lewis. If you would like to please come forward, and we would like to present you with a small token of our appreciation. And Ms. Holmes, here's a little bag with some West Brunswick beer for you and some Brunswick County gear. And we're going to let you guys have on a grab a quick photo.
Next, we have Teacher's Voice, Ms. Sharp.
Hey, in May we had our last TAC meeting for this year, and we discussed just how we were going to be so excited when our testing was over, and that's one thing we're celebrating is the end of our testing is coming near. We're really excited about our senior walks that have come through all the schools. Those were just great, and such a nice time for all of our students to see these seniors come full circle, and just for them to have that aspiration to live up to those great standards of our Brunswick County students. This is just a great example of what is right in Brunswick County schools, and during our TAC meetings, that's what we try to highlight, is what's going on in all of the schools that are great. Supply Elementary, we held a Pastries for Parents, and they had around 250 parents attend. At South Brunswick High School, they had some voting going on for their student government. At Union, the Writing Club worked all year to create the history of Union Elementary School, and I wish I had that book with me. They brought it to the TAC meeting, but it was incredible. It was just a great job, and it was all student-led, and a great product that they created at the end of the year. At Charlotte Middle School, the sixth graders attended a medieval times field trip that tied in with their social studies curriculum. At Cedar Grove Middle, they had a huge PBIS celebration, and it was one step or less celebrations. About 100 eighth graders will get to go to the beach and be awarded for their positive behavior. The Early College recently held their end-of-year celebration to celebrate a successful school year. And finally, we want to congratulate all the students that will be graduating in Brunswick County schools and just extend our congratulations to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Today in class, Dr. Meadows.
Tonight we get to have our final 3 videos from our schools, the last 3 schools. Just a reminder as to the goals for using these today in class videos. It's to demonstrate those great practices that are being used in each one of our classrooms for the community to be able to see those great practices and know what it is that we're expecting teachers to do in the classroom, and also a place where teachers can actually learn from each other, have somebody they can go to if there's a practice that they'd like to learn more about. So our first video tonight is from Waccamaw School, and the teacher is Kim Hawkins, and she will be teaching 7th grade ELA and Social Studies.
Today in my 7th grade ELA and Social Studies class, we're investigating tone and mood. Students often have trouble with tone and mood because it's embedded and finds itself in large quantities of reading. So by choosing small snippets of information, we could identify more specifics for tone and mood.
Today we was going over tone and mood, like how tone is different from mood, and tone has to do with dialogue and description, and how mood has to do with atmosphere and setting.
Today's lesson deals with the way a writer relays information and makes people feel. So we think of it as figurative language, and it's just those pieces of things that stick with us after we've read a writing.
We take turns reading the poems and explaining what we thought about it and what was our feelings in it. It helps me more in groups because I can see what the other person is thinking and compare it to what I'm thinking.
If you think this is scary, the other person will think it's not really that scary. It's more kind of playful, and the other person said, well, it could be a little bit more playful, kind of scary. But you guys, both people have to kind of recognize what the mood and the tone is.
Writing is one of those pieces where students struggle, and knowing that they are in control when they are writing is one of those things that particularly middle school students may need, because they don't feel like they're in control of a lot of things happening to them. And writing is that one place where they can find control. Mood and tone appears in a variety of ways, not only in the English classroom through literature, but also in writing letters or resumes for jobs. As they grow and apply for those things, scholarships for college, they would need some sense of tone and mood in order to create exactly what they wanted the other person to hear or what they wanted the other person to feel. So it's a lifelong skill, even though it's called up in what we think of as just literature. It is a life skill for school years and beyond.
So some best practices from this video. The lesson was focused on a standard and an essential question. She also focused on what is an expectation of our instructional improvement plan, which is that every school has an instructional focus, and Waccama's instructional focus is writing and annotation. She was using collaboration and having students summarize through their writing. You could see them summarizing as they were reading. There were a variety of visual supports that were displayed in the classroom, a graphic organizer for students to use, and obviously students were using higher order thinking skills by analyzing text, and just writing is a higher order thinking skill. So Ms. Hawkins, if you will come forward, let us celebrate. Is she here? If there she is. Celebrate what you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Would you like to make any comments?
Yes, always. It is a pleasure to be here tonight to represent my school and my class. And this group has been so excited about being able to see this video. So we know what we're doing tomorrow. We'll probably watch it 3,000 times and take up a good 7.5 hours of the school day. As all of you know, Waccama is facing a lot of changes for next year. We have 11 people retiring. And that is just a phenomenal opportunity for us to change and to embrace those changes and go forward. And thank you for the school year that we've had and for the hard work that you do for our students. And I look forward to another year, and maybe I'll see you again. Thanks.
All right, our next video is coming from North Brunswick High School, and the teacher is Sarah Calderado, and she is teaching biology.
Today in my biology class, students are interpreting and analyzing the stages of mitosis. Every cell needs to divide and replicate, so cells need to make copy of cells. If you cut yourself, your skin has to mend, and how it does that is it makes copies of itself and it makes new cells. So we start with that, then we go into, in the standards, they need to know what the cell looks like in each phase of growth. So I tell them if you're drawing a baby and you're drawing a teenager, you're not going to draw the same person because they don't look the same. They're at different stages in their life. So same with mitosis. If you're drawing interphase, which is the first phase of mitosis, or telophase, which is the last phase, they're not going to look the same. My students will only be able to use the foldable we've been working on for the past 2 days. And the foldable has everything in it. It has pictures of the stages of mitosis, it has a description of what's happening, it has how long each stage takes. So they'll be using that to help identify what they're seeing under the microscope.
My favorite thing in biology is to look through a microscope. So I think that's going to be really fun.
Getting to see it real through the microscope, so possibly that can help us see it more and understand it more.
You can see how the cells actually work and how they move and reproduce and all that. It's pretty cool.
Every student in here has been affected or knows somebody that's been affected by cancer. The way to treat cancer is to stop rapidly dividing cells. Cancer happens because cells divide too fast. So this unit's really been working them into, one, how do cells divide? Why do they divide? What is the process they go through? And then it brings them to the cancer question. It says, well, if cells divide too fast, what happens? And that's cancer. And they all know what cancer is and how it happens, and they all know that there's really not a great treatment for cancer. So at the end of this unit, their job is to design a drug for cancer that cures just cancer and not hurts other parts of your body.
It's important because that's how, if we get a cut, that's how we heal. Yes, it is something important that I can take outside of this classroom because I can be more aware of things like sunlight, sunscreen, use that to help. So it just gives me a mind to know how to take care of my body better.
In the real world, it's cancer can be caused by anything. So once you know how it works and how it is, it's better for doctors and scientists to perform one and find a cure for it.
For me, it's important because I want to be a nurse, and you need science. And for everybody else, cells are in your body, so you want to know how they work.
Ultimately, I want the students to think critically about the cell cycle and about cancer and about treatments for cancer, because these are little biologists and little scientists. They may go on to develop the cure for cancer. So I'm just trying to ignite that spark and yet still teach the phases of mitosis.
So the best practices in that video were, obviously the lesson was based on specific standards. You could see a variety of visual supports in that classroom, the foldable that she used, viewing through a microscope. There were high levels of student engagement, which always happens when there's hands-on activities, when they can make connections to the real life, and they can apply to real life. And then the development of an effective assignment that she talked about that she wanted them to ultimately do at the end, which is part of our lesson planning process that we use in our classes. So Ms. Calderado, if you will come forward and let us celebrate what you do in the classroom. Thank you. And would you like to make any statements or comments?
No, I'm too nervous to right now.
Thank you. Our final video is from Southport Elementary, and the teacher is Brooke Deutsch, I hope I said that right, from first grade math. She's not here. She's not here? Well, Miss Yuri's here in her place, but it's still a great video.
Today in my first grade math class, students are using different strategies to solve word problems. With this lesson today, I'm addressing word problems, but I'm also addressing how addition and subtraction are related. Within word problems, students will be finding words that speak to them and how to solve them. Fewer than, more, they will know that they're either finding the difference or they're finding the sum.
We're learning about what strategies do you use to solve word problems, and some of the strategies that help me are using circles and taking them away and putting more in, and I use number bonds.
She helps us understand it better because if we had a word problem like that, she gives us these tools like number bonds and number lines, 10 frames to help us understand it better.
We are learning about word problems, and we have the essential question, which is, what strategies do you use to solve word problems?
Students will respond best to this activity because using different strategies gives students a choice, and it empowers them as learners because they are in control of ultimately how they solve the problem. Many students are emerging as readers, so this is a difficult task, asking them to read the problem and solve the problem. I'll know that my students have got it if they are able to explain to their group members how and why they use the strategy. We'll also take it across the curriculum with informational texts, which are how-to books. And if students can write a how-to text explaining why they use that specific strategy, I'll know that they've mastered the skill.
I like doing it, and it's really fun to do, and I like learning the math that Ms. Deutsch teaches us.
So that we can be successful in second grade.
So that we can have tools in second grade to have more strategies and use those strategies to get better answers.
I feel like every lesson that I teach in here is leading to something bigger, and I want to empower my students with more than one way to solve a puzzle, and this will take them through life.
There were lots of best practices in there. The use of the graphic organizers, you saw the visual supports, the anchor chart that she was developing with the class, the manipulatives that the students were using. Students were collaborating, they were writing their how-to text. There were high levels of student engagement that you could see in the video because she was using a variety of strategies, whether it was the stations or what she was doing actually with the students. And the students clearly know why they're learning and what they're supposed to be learning, which verifies that there are learning goals and an essential question that were clear. So, Ms. Yuri, if you'll come forward and thank Ms. Deutsch for what she does.
No substitute for Ms. Deutsch.
No, but tell her thank you, and we appreciate what she does for her students. So let me just say thank you, board members, for allowing us to come and bring the classroom to each board meeting. I want to thank Billy Lewis for his exceptional job of doing the videos each time. But thank you to our teachers, Billy, and to the board for allowing us to share this.
Dr. May, they are all online too, so we
Yes,
can
they
watch
are.
them again and again and
Every one of them is
4,000
there.
times tomorrow.
That's right. That's right. Yes, Mr. Thompson.
I noticed in all three of the videos that the children had to demonstrate, or the students had to demonstrate, actually by writing and performing, and they didn't seem to be at all disadvantaged that there was very little technology. They were having to use their heads, their hands, their eyes. It was pretty remarkable stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm particularly amazed at what first graders are learning.
Yeah.
The strategies. It's the strategies.
It's wonderful.
It's good.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thank you, Dr. Meadows. The Board of Education has I would assume, a brief public hearing at this point, and I need to read a couple of statements. This public hearing is notification of the Brunswick County Board of Education's intent to proceed with seeking finances for a guaranteed energy savings contract that will reduce energy costs and replace outdated equipment. At this point, the chair will entertain a motion from the board to open the public hearing.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a motion by the board to open the public hearing and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I need to read you another statement. Snyder Electric is the system's energy service company for this project. Snyder must guarantee savings, which will be used for payment for this project. Per North Carolina General Statute 143-64.17, requests for bids for project financing have been solicited from 15 financial institutions to attain the best interest rate for this project. Per North Carolina General Statute 143-64.17, guaranteed energy savings contracts must be self-funding. The North Carolina Local Government Commission must give final approval of this project prior to the school district signing an agreement. Would anybody like to address the board regarding this project in our audience? If there are no speakers, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Mr. Miller makes a motion. Mr. Thompson seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, you have your meeting agendas. Are there any changes needed to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, at our last operations meeting, we talked about addressing at the June 6th meeting the Waccamaw recommendations from staff. Is that not ready for hearing?
I think it is.
It is not.
If we're not prepared, but I just wanted to, yeah.
They're working, and I can tell you that, Ms. Rutledge and the crew, they've been working on this.
Well, I don't want it to come before it's ready, but,
that's right.
but we did say that we would hear it tonight. Okay.
We'll note that. Any other questions about the agenda? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve our agenda for tonight.
Mr. Thompson makes a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Ms. Cook seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Also, board members, we have minutes from May 9th, the regular meeting, May 23rd, Curriculum Policy Committee, May 23rd, Finance HR Committee, and on May 23rd, Operations Committee. We have minutes from that. Is there any corrections to those minutes? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. The next item is consent items. The consent items has been discussed previously. Is there any further discussion needed on any of these items? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve consent items.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent items.
Mr. Thompson makes a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Ms. Cook seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. The Code of Ethics was discussed earlier, and Mr. Green was going to check into the summertime situation.
Our students during summer.
Right.
As it pertains to the Code of Ethics.
If there was any problem in relation to the Code of Ethics applying during the summertime.
No, sir, I found no problem with Code of Ethics applying to summer curriculum, or rather extracurricular activities.
Any other discussion about that?
So you would recommend us proceeding with adoption of the policy?
Yes, sir, I would.
Any other discussion? Chair will entertain a motion to approve the Brunswick County Schools Code of Ethics for extracurricular activities, I believe it was.
Well, that's the entire policy, correct? Yeah. No, yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve a revised Code of Ethics.
Second, Ms. Cook, second. Mr. Thompson makes a motion. Ms. Cook seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
One interesting piece on there is the pledge that the students will sign, that one reinforces the Code of Ethics, but more importantly reinforces how student athletes, how student band members, how any of our students should be acting outside of the school, representing the school when they are representing.
It just provides solid guidance.
This guidance is what we do, yes, sir.
Yeah, and I think we had some incidents last year that we needed this policy in place, so. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We have the SRO contract renewal that was moved along, and I believe Mr. Miller said that he was waiting for the other people to approve their budgets before he asked.
I did have some conversations with Ms. Hardy today, and she would like to meet the chair and the superintendent for further discussion.
Oh, good.
She thought that there might be something that could be worth recommending.
The question arose before we approved the SRO contract was, could we get any help with the cost? And Mr. Miller volunteered to meet with some folks and see if they would meet with us about that, and that's good news.
I would like to second that.
Oh, good. So I think we're good to move on then and approve the contract. So Chair will entertain a motion to approve the SRO contract.
Mr. Chairman, you can.
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the SRO contract renewal. I think is it for 1 year?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
It's a 3 year.
3 years. Mr. Thompson makes the motion. We have a second, Ms. Cook?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to recuse myself from this.
Right. Okay.
There's no question.
Second.
Ms. Cook seconds. Mr. Miller recuses himself on this vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, there are none. That motion carries. Appointment of the trustee of the Brunswick Community College Board. We have had 2 people to request that position. One is Dr. Williams, who is currently serving in that position, and the other is Mr. Thorson, who is a former Board of Education member. Do we have any discussion about that?
Well, I think it's a great problem to have such great candidates for service on the Board of Trustees. I would like to go ahead and make a motion to reappoint Dr. Williams. He's indicated that he wanted to continue to serve, and I'd also like to say that I want the next available spot, if possible, to be considered for Mr. Thorson.
And the community college president has also stated that he's been very helpful in his position on the Board of Trustees, and she would like for him to stay and try.
Yeah, I think we all agree that Dr. Williams has done a good job, and that Mr. Thorson would be a great candidate for us at some point. But Mr. Thompson, would you put that in a motion for?
Yeah, I'd like to reappoint Dr. Williams to the Board of Trustees for Brunswick Community College.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Cook seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dr. Williams is reappointed as trustee from the school board to Brunswick Community College Board. We're down to discussion announcements by the superintendent, Math 1.
I think we have already discussed that, and we're set to go for next year and to look at. The biggest issue for next year will be looking at what the State Board of Education does with this particular problem, and how they in turn hand it off to DPI, Department of Public Instruction, who then hands it to us to implement. So it's guidance from the very, very top. And as you've heard several of our speakers tonight talk about the Math 1 and the availability of high school courses at our middle schools, and to, if possible, expand some of those. It's going to be interesting to see what the State Board does with this over the next year.
Well, I think we need to knock on the doors in Raleigh and let them know how we feel in Brunswick County about
Yeah.
it too. So.
Well, when I was watching that first grade group tonight, I realized that the real problem is that we have to provide an ongoing challenge to children that are learning faster and greater amounts of information right out of the gate. And can you imagine that same group of children tonight that we saw in the first grade in their math course, what they're going to be capable of in the 8th grade?
And that's a class of 29. So. I think also when this came up, I did some research, because that's just me, and DPI recognizes the fact that we have children who are progressing faster, and they should be in Math 1 in the 8th grade based on what I read. But they do that with caution. And the caution is that we don't put children in there that don't belong. And all the research I did in the last few days in relation to that, some of the research says get them there as many students as you can, because if they're able to do that work, that's the type of success you want to see. And that math indicators is the leading indicator of success in college, and AP Calculus being the main course in which that is. But the caution is this, that I read in the research. In order to do that, even though we have AIG kids that are very smart and all that, when the Common Core standards, as we once knew them and now are called college and career ready standards, they're very stringent. And it's highly recommended they don't miss any of those strands. So for those kids to be in that course, we have to do a good job of compacting seventh grade, and they recommend not sixth grade, 7 and 8, to compact and speed up a year and a half's work in 1 year. So they would do a year and a half's work in the 7th grade and a year and a half in the 8th grade, including Math 1, and they have to be able to do that work. So that's the caution. Don't start too low of speeding up that work, because our college and career ready standards are very solid. And we need to be careful, but we need to not restrain kids who are able to move on. So I think I did my homework, and I think this is very solid of what I'm relaying to you about what I've read. So thank you, Mr. Tubb. I think it's the right decision, but I also think we have to move forward rather than backwards.
Yeah.
So with that being said, the superintendent...
With the ninth on June the 13th.
Okay, and based on board policy, I think the superintendent's evaluation has to be done through a special meeting. So we are suggesting the 13th for that, next Tuesday. And any comments about that? I'll let you go back to your announcements, graduation.
This is the week that we've already heard a few people talk about out when we were standing out in the audience talking. This is the culmination of a year's worth of work for all of our kids, but more importantly, it's the culmination of 13 years worth of work, in some cases maybe a little bit more, for quite a few, over 300 or 400 of our students in the graduation. And as you see listed on the agenda items, our Brunswick County Academy is June the 8th, which is Thursday at 6:30, and all of these are at Odell Williamson. North Brunswick is on Friday night, and then we double up it with West Brunswick and South Brunswick on June the 10th. And as I've told a lot of people, June the 10th is my birthday. It's kind of a special birthday, but June the 10th we have the biggest birthday party in the state, because there's going to be 20,000 kids graduate from high school on my birthday. And so I'm going to enjoy laughing and hollering with those kids when that comes up. We've got your committee meeting scheduled for the 20th. That will be, hopefully, Mr. Thompson, we can have something for you at that point on the Waccamaw issue that we've been talking.
Are we going to try to schedule in the afternoon again? Did we all agree that worked?
Everybody liked that, yeah.
I got to sleep in, so I was happy.
That's great. So at 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. And then during the curriculum committee, we want to talk about the strategic plan and review the strategic plan, look at it, because we know that having had the advanced ed group walk through and give us a number of items to look at and a number of items that we need to embellish on, that we need to look at our strategic plan and update the strategic plan. So that's a start for our strategic plan.
Well, I would just say that I think it's really important to continue the conversation that we had last year with the public at large, and what a successful conversation we had, and the result was outstanding support for the Brunswick County School System.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's critical that we continue to communicate with the public in general, parents, businesses, and others about our ambitions for going good to great.
And if you remember too, Advanced Ed asked us to continue that we've started that initiative and that we need to maintain the emphasis that we had and improve on what we have and what we're doing and working with our stakeholders to have their input into where we're going in Brunswick County Schools. There is a change on July, the board meeting, because of July the 4th to July the 11th. And then the last one is we have a schedule that we will get for you to look at for the board meetings for the school year 17-18. And with that, unless you have other questions of me and to discuss, I'll be happy to talk, or I'll hand it off to one of my staff to talk about.
Well, in case I forget about it, Saturday, happy birthday.
Thank you. It's always fun to have kids leave on my birthday, and it's been happening that way for years now, so it's fun.
So I'm assuming we have no personnel for closed session tonight?
No, sir, we don't. We're in the process of finalizing a number of those. I know that Dr. Oates is wanting to finalize the whole list as much as possible, and we have a number of them that. We can do all of that at the same time.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if it's in order, I'd like to offer a motion to
Before you do
adjourn.
that, please,
All right.
as you come in to.
Not fast enough.
I know you won't pass it up. On the 13th, and we talk about what I've done right and what I've done wrong and what I need to improve. One of the things that I want us to do together is to develop a series of goals, or you asked me to develop a series of goals for the next year, and then so we can put some sub-goals underneath that with my cabinet and work towards, so that we know that we're working towards where we want to work and where the emphasis will be. And you know, in the past 6 or 8 months, it was getting through the bond and then getting through advanced ed. Now it's time back for us to really get involved, and the staff has been doing that anyway, but to really get involved in going from good to great.
Well, keep the momentum going.
Keep the momentum going.
That's what we need to do.
Right.
Well, Mr. Chairman, is it in order for me to make a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir. Mr. Thompson makes a motion to adjourn. We have a second?
A second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.